Uber and Lyft drivers are planning to protest outside City Hall. When? Halloween. Let's talk about it. Welcome everyone, Mark here from Uber Hints, and this story is from my neck of the woods, Chicago, Illinois. My favorite town. In fact, I was just through Chicago on Saturday, which is the best way to see Chicago. So, this story, as it appeared in the Chicago Sun-Times, talks about an organized rally. And they already had one, by the way, earlier this year, September 18th, last month. So let's read a little bit about this and I'll give you my thoughts. Lenny Sanchez, co-organizer of the Chicago Rideshare Advocates, didn't think a second rally outside City Hall would ever happen. First of all, let me say, I am not familiar with the Chicago Rideshare Advocates. If you drive in Chicago, I would encourage you to look into it. I'm not advocating this group. I don't know anything about them. But if there is a formal rideshare organization, it's worth looking into and making up your mind whether you think this is worthwhile. I thought initially our first action was going to be our last action, said Sanchez, referring to the group's September rally. Instead, the grassroots organization had lasted longer than he thought since starting in August. It's held rallies at O'Hare International Airport and at Lyft and Uber hubs in the city. Now it's scheduled another for City Hall on Wednesday. We gotta act fast, kids, because that's only 2 days from now. I have this responsibility to try and do this, said Sanchez, who has driven for both Uber and Lyft since 2015. Wednesday's event, another chance to unite ride-hailing drivers and bring awareness to their mission, is planned for 9 a.m. All right, so there it is, City Hall, 9 a.m., be there. Especially since we don't have to work, right? Should we do like they did in the UK and jam up all the streets? That's sarcasm. I don't think we should do that. I don't think it's ever positive. And please, if you plan on doing this, Mr. Sanchez, do not disrupt the city of Chicago. Although that gets a lot of press, it's negative press. It doesn't reflect positively on us. Let's make sure that Uber is the one getting the negative press. There's no reason for innocent people who have to get to work to be disrupted by people like us simply because we're disappointed with the way our work is going for us at this particular moment. Okay? So, have the rallies. I'm behind that, but please don't disrupt innocent people who should be unaffected by this. I continue. It'll coincide with the Chicago City Council budget hearing. Sanchez and his co-organizers want the city to take action in the wake of recent pay decreases and changes to an already confusing system of surge and airport pricing. I don't know what power or authority the city of Chicago has over independent private businesses, but it's happened before, right? I mean, it is Chicago. It's not like they have to do things legally. There's very little money in this anymore, said Sanchez, 39, of Des Plaines. And it is Des Plaines for those of you outside of Illinois. I know it's Des Moines, Iowa. They both have S's after them, but it's Des Plaines, Illinois. After expenses, Sanchez used to clear about $20 an hour during the week, and on weekends about $40 an hour. Good going, Sanchez. He would bring home $800 to $1,200 a week to help support his family, though he used to make closer to $1,500 a week, working the same 20 to 30 hours. $1,500 working 20 to 30 hours, that is a smart driver. And if this is true, and I have no reason to doubt him, I'm saying this might be a man to get behind. If he was pulling down $1,500 a week, working 20 to 30 hours, it tells me that he understands driving and he understands how this whole thing works. I don't know anything about him, but just going by that. You know, there are drivers out there, even in Chicago, that talk about making $2,000 and more, but they bust their humps working 70, 80 hours a week, which is insane. Sanchez does this in 20, good for him. If I'm getting $1,000, this is a quote from Sanchez, I'm really happy. If I'm getting $600, I'm not surprised. More safety regulations and increased transparency from the ride-hailing companies, boy, I'm tongue-tied today, are also top priorities for the group. They don't want to see ride-hailing go away. They just want to see more equitable management. Once again, what does that have to do with the city of Chicago? I'm a little confused. What I'm seeing here is not a clear message. When everything's just across the board, great messages, but they're not clear messages. They're too vague. They're too fuzzy. It's like telling an 8-year-old, clean your room. Well, what do you want me to do, Dad? What do you want me to do, Mom? Clean your room. No, you got to be more specific. First, you make your bed. Then you pick everything off the floor and put it where it belongs. Put all the shoes on the shoe rack. Clean your room to a kid might mean shove everything under the bed, right? Same thing here. We can't just say, I have all these lofty ideas. And I am not, rabble-rouser. Sanchez, I'll leave that up to him. But I am going to say, Mr. Sanchez, please have a crystal clear message. He used to work in medical sales. He started driving. This is becoming a profile on Sanchez, isn't this? But that's good, because anytime you have a cause, it's really good to have a face to go with the cause. You notice how politicians like to bring up specific people. Presidential campaigns, they'll bring up one person and they'll say, look at Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so, and they'll say, look at the problems they're going through, because other people can identify with those people. They can empathize with them. So I think if that person is going to be someone, I sure as heck don't want it to be me. So let it be Sanchez. He used to work in medical sales. He started driving for Uber because they were a young tech company, this is a quote, and they were trending upwards. He said he had been threatened, had a gun pulled on by a passenger. Well, of course, it's Chicago. If you don't have a gun pulled on you in Chicago, I would feel bad. I would feel like I didn't get the true Chicago experience. And been falsely accused of driving while intoxicated. How would you know in Chicago? Have you ever driven there? How do they know if someone's driving drunk in Chicago? Because they're changing lanes without signaling? They're driving erratically? How do you know? I know if you don't drive in Chicago, you don't know what I'm talking about. The Chicago Rideshare Advocates have partnered with Legal Rideshare, a Chicago-based law firm dedicated to cases involving ride-hailing drivers and passengers. So they have an entire law firm that is just devoted to rideshare? That's really hard to believe. I could see one lawyer maybe having part of his practice, but an entire law firm? That's what it says here, Legal Rideshare. Jared Hoffa. Oh, Hoffa. Anytime I see the name Hoffa, it makes me worry just a little bit. Jared Hoffa, Business Development Manager for Legal Rideshare, said they want to be a resource for drivers in the city and have converted part of their Wrigleyville office into a driver's lounge. That is really cool. With coffee and free Wi-Fi. Mr. Hoffa, that A+ to you. I think that's really awesome. We're not protesters, Hoffa said. We're supporting the community and the industry. Has anyone of my viewers, have you ever been there? Have you ever gone to Legal Rideshare office and sat down and had some coffee and played with the Wi-Fi? I don't know why you would do that. Personally, if I'm going to have coffee, it's in my car while I'm waiting for the next ping. But nevertheless, if it's there, I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are. The number of another concern for Chicago rideshare advocates, the number of drivers is increasing, but demand for rides isn't. I think you know where I'm going to be going with this one, right? They want a cap for drivers similar to the one in New York City. I don't like that. Simply, I understand it. I understand why it would work. I get it. I get that, if you have fewer drivers, potentially, theoretically, you're going to get more rides and you're going to make more money. However, how do you determine that? You have now a bunch of haves and have-nots. And who determines who gets to drive and who doesn't? Do I get to drive just because I was early? And someone else that's just as dedicated, maybe a better driver, and really wants to do it, can't? Is that what the U.S. is all about? Is that what this country is about? I know we're talking about Chicago, which really isn't about this country. But nevertheless, quite seriously, all joking aside, how do you determine who gets to drive? To me, that just seems un-American. It's against our whole system of capitalism that says, I want to do something, I have the ability, and you're going to stop me from doing it. To me, that just rubs me the wrong way. Plus, you know what's going to happen. You're going to get these fleet people. It's going to end up, rideshare is going to turn into a rich man's business, because you're going to get these fleet operators, and they're going to get all the money, and they're going to have other people driving on their behalf. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. Is that what you want rideshare to become? Let me know down below. Lyft responded when rideshare advocates reached out. Uber, they say, did not. Now, this is a quote from Lyft. We have invested in ways to reduce expenses, boost earnings, and help drivers reach their goals. The trust and safety of our community is our top priority, and we actively engage our drivers in conversation in the best places and ways to earn, as well as new product advancements. I'm not a Lyft driver. I can't talk to that. By the way, what is this? It doesn't say. I must ask you a question. In a statement, Uber said, we're continuously working to make earnings more consistent and dependable for drivers. Okay, listen to that. Words are important. Exactly what they say is important. More consistent and dependable. Does that mean more money? Consistent and dependable, but it's still going to be less. That's not what they're saying. I'm just saying it's one way it could be interpreted. What do you think? While making our service more reliable anytime someone needs a ride. Okay, I can believe that. Having, littering the city with drivers will make it more reliable anytime someone needs a ride. Unfortunately, they also do things like Uber Pool, and that's not good for us. It isn't very profitable. Since forming in August, the Chicago rideshare advocates had gathered about 900 signatures on a petition. Another 400 had signed on. The goal is to get 10,000 ride-hailing drivers to sign in. Then Sanchez says they'll bring it to City Council. We feel like the political temperature, the political climate is ripe for change, Sanchez says. What? What are you signing off on? Where is that petition? We've got a lot of people. There's over 5,000 people that watch this channel, and this is a small channel, right? You want to get 10,000 signatures of Chicago drivers, you're going to find them. I have a lot of Chicago people that watch this. Well, after this video, they might not watch. But I have a lot of Chicago people. They get it. Chicago people have thick skin. They get the jokes. But there's a lot of Chicago drivers right here. Reach out to us, Sanchez. Reach out to us. We'll help you get those signatures. However, I don't want to sign a petition unless I know what is it you're asking for. You have to be really specific. Are you asking the city to cap rideshare? Do you want more regulation on the rideshare industry? Be careful what you ask for. I don't see anything in this article that specifically states what is it that you're protesting. What is the rally going to be about on Halloween? What's the message? It's got to be clear. It can't be this, all over the place. It's like world peace. Okay, great. What are you going to do to achieve it? We can't say treat us better, more wages. Be specific. Have a consistent, clean, clear, singular message. You didn't come to me for advice, but I'm telling you, the Sun-Times didn't do you a lot of good with this article because it's not giving any clarity either. And if I was a layperson reading that, so what? Big deal. What do I care? That's the opinion I'm going to have. If I were reading the Sun-Times in Chicago, which the chances of that happening are slim and none. So, I would like to hear what you all think about this one, please, especially if you're from Chicago. Yeah, I guess if you want to tease me right back, go ahead. But leave your comments down below. As always, I encourage you to like and share the videos. If you haven't subscribed, please do so as well. I'm Mark with Uber Hints.